Okay, it's time to get real. We have got to get real. Mental health. Let's talk about it. Before we get started with the heart of today's video, I wanted to say a special thank you to Rose Forever New York for sending these gorgeous roses. I am so in love with these roses. I cannot tell you how much of a difference even something simple like this that's beautiful in your office can make when it comes to your mental health. This one is in a beautiful acrylic box that you can put your washi tape and supplies in. So it has a special place on my desk. If you remember, they sent me some roses earlier this year. I think it's been 6 months, and look how beautiful these still are. They stay good for up to a year, but I'm feeling like they're going to stay good even longer. So we'll talk more about this a little bit later in the video. Big projects like NaNoWriMo or big goals that we set can be so fun and rewarding. There's no doubt. We can push ourselves to a new level. We can level up. We can achieve things we never thought possible for ourselves. So in a lot of ways, aiming for those big, audacious goals is a huge part of what gets us to our dream life. However, there are a few reasons why this type of thing, like a deadline, a big goal, something that you're really reaching for or pushing yourself toward, can be dangerous. And one of them is that often we get so focused on the end result and the outcome that we attach a certain kind of meaning to it. And we say, okay, I got to be perfect, first of all. So we got that perfectionism. Raise your hand in the comments if this is you and that sounds familiar. I got to do it perfectly or I'm a failure. And that's really the piece of it, is that we attach meaning to not quite hitting the goal in the time frame that we expected. So I set out a pre-order. I don't get the book finished in time. I'm a failure. I don't reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm a failure. And we are the ones who put that pressure on ourselves. Whereas the truth is, okay, so maybe you don't hit the 10,000 by the end of the year, but maybe you hit it in January or February, or maybe it takes you another year, but you eventually will get there as long as you don't give up. So I think that where it becomes dangerous is that we often assign this word failure, or we assign some other kind of meaning to goals and heavy deadlines or projects that we say, if I don't perform perfectly, then I am this kind of person. And when we attach our self-worth to that goal and that outcome, or we attach our value in this world to it, we are putting our mental health in danger. So that's one of the things. I told you we're getting real today. And that is one of the most real things I can tell you, because I have struggled with this for decades. The other reason it can be dangerous is because we get so hyper focused on this piece of the puzzle, the goal, the outcome. I got to do everything I can to get there, that we often sometimes sacrifice some of the tools and things that we need because they seem superfluous. Like, I don't really need as much sleep because I'm trying to hit this goal. I don't really need as much time with my family this month or this year because I'm so focused on this goal. I got to get the goal. Let's do this. And it's like that energy, it can be great sometimes to sort of sacrifice a few things to hit your goals, like finishing projects. There are probably lots of projects and cars and technology and computers and probably lots of things that wouldn't exist if some certain group of people weren't willing to say, okay, I'm gonna, put my blinders on and I'm gonna focus on this. So it's not all bad, but we have to be taking care of our mental health along the way, or we're gonna hit that goal someday, or we're gonna fall short and we're gonna look around to find that our life has burned to the ground while we weren't paying attention. The flip side of that is that we can also feel guilty sometimes that we are taking all this time for ourselves, that we say, oh my gosh, I've got to carve out this time for writing, or this time that I'm working on this new business or this new idea. And so all the other people in my life, like my kids, my parents, my husband, whoever needs things from you, they don't get as much of your time. So then when you're done with your high level thinking hard work, get out of your office or out of your workspace. And even though you may need a little bit of downtime, some meditation, some me time, some reading, some sitting outside time, everybody is immediately like, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this. And it's one of those things about your role in your life that we can often feel guilty for taking even more time. But the truth is, to get the project done, We can't just work on the project and then step outside of our project and then do, like give to everybody else. We have to still be taking care of ourselves. And our writing time, though fun, is not always that sort of self-care time. So that is sort of the baseline of the real talk. And what we're going to do from now until the end of this video is I'm going to give you 6 ways that you can try to really take care of your mental health, 6 mindset shifts that can really help you as you're trying to achieve any big goal where you have to really focus in on your time, including NaNoWriMo. Now, of course, this will be our final Preptober video. So I wanted to record it in this spooky room because I will be taking all of this down, which you will see in the NaNoWriMo Diaries, which will start next week. So if you're looking forward to 30 days of vlogs as I attempt to write 50,000 words next month, make sure you're subscribed because it's always an adventure. We also have a live Q&A coming up this Sunday with some of my Heart Breathings writing community admins. So that's going to be super fun. I will put all the links in the description box below, all the details in this description box below. Okay, first things first, number 1, do not pack your schedule so tight that you just feel like you want to cry because you have 0 time to like rest and recover your mind. Of course, I have been talking throughout Preptober about how to create space in your schedule. And that means things like planning out your meals or planning out a uniform for yourself or whatever you need to do to get that writing time in. However, if you take a calendar and you just schedule yourself out every single slot from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, and you don't actually have any blank space in there where you can just do whatever you feel like today, you're probably going to be exhausted about 10 days in if you can make it that far. So my advice to you is, if you can, go back to the drawing board of your schedule from week to week to week. You can find the little planner pages in my Preptober workbook, or you can use your own planner, but just trying to figure out when, like, do you have little blocks of space in your schedule that you can just fill in as you go, that aren't like already committed. Now, for some of you, you may be so busy and so committed to all your responsibilities that there's not going to be a lot of time. So maybe one thing you would want to do is come up with a list of things that you can do that only take you 5 or 10 minutes, but that feel like a break to you. So this is just laying on your back on the floor and listening to a full song of music, or going outside for just 10 minutes and reading half of a chapter, or putting your earbuds in. Like, maybe you got to clean, maybe you got stuff you need to do, but put your earbuds in and listen to some really soft like music or stuff that makes you happy. Whatever calms you or makes you feel better, then it can feel like a break even though you're cleaning, right? Or take a little drive in the car, go get those groceries, whatever, and crank the music up. But find ways to make sure that you have a little bit of blank space in your schedule that you can just really unplug and do something for yourself. Because if you are already struggling, like right now in October, you're already struggling, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you don't have time to do it all. If you pack your schedule full of even more things in the month of November, you're setting yourself up for a very dangerous mental health scenario. So I highly recommend that you create a little bit of blank space in your schedule in order to, give yourself that time to decompress and take care of your mental health. Number 2, remember that you actually get to define success for yourself. Like, okay, NaNoWriMo, for example, says 50,000 words in 30 days. But they are not the boss of your life. These are just fun guidelines to try to get writers to write. No one's going to come to your house and be like, you have failed because you only got 45,000 words. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And in most areas of your life, you have the power to decide what success looks like. When it comes to your career, your income, your relationships, you get to decide. And when we live in this world where everybody's social media conscious and we see everybody's highlight reels all the time, it can be really difficult to go into ourselves and say, I'm actually really happy with my life the way that it is. Because often we see other people accomplishing things and we feel like, I have to do that too. Oh my gosh, somebody completed Nano in 6 days. What's wrong with me? And we allow what other people are accomplishing or what other people are prioritizing to mean something about who we are as a person. And this is the basis of so much damaged mental health and anxiety. And I'm not saying this as judgment because I am guilty as charged. I have struggled with comparisonitis. I struggle sometimes with like, wow, how come they're writing 6 books a year? I can't do it. But then when I turn around and look, I realize I'm a massive success without writing 6 books a year. I don't have to be that person. I don't have to live up to their best life. I get to define what is my best life. And maybe that's quieter on my book sales right now, but it's blowing things up when it comes to my relationship with my husband and how much less anxiety I have this year than last year. Hallelujah. Last year was a struggle, and sometimes the outer world doesn't really know what you're going through. So don't let those people define success for you. You get to choose what does success look like. So don't let 50,000 words in a prescripted 30 days, if you aren't able to make it, define who you are as a writer. Okay, so it took you 45 days, it took you 90. It's okay. I think also this is a good place to remember that you can adapt your goal. Like on the NaNo website, it's going to say 50,000 words, but you get a chance to say, you know what? Okay, I thought I could do it. The month gets started because like life doesn't stop. The bills are going to keep coming. Kids are still going to need you. You're going to have something come up at work or whatever your situation is. Like life doesn't pause and say, okay, we're going to let Sarah finish NaNo and then we'll throw the kitchen sink at her. It just continues on. And so we have to come into NaNo as we are with our regular old life. And we have to find ways to fit the writing in around that life. And sometimes there's just going to be circumstances like me last year during NaNo when I was struggling more than I can possibly explain to anybody. And I know some of you felt that in my energy. I did my best to keep myself going, but it was really hard for me. And so towards the middle of the month or end of the month, I decided, okay, success for me this year is not going to be 50K. That is out of my reach. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person or a bad writer or a failure. It doesn't mean anything. It just means my life is busy and I have high anxiety right now. So I set a different goal. Okay, 25,000 is success for me. And I know that that can sometimes be difficult because we feel like, no, we got to hit the goal. But I just want to empower you by saying you do get to choose. So define your success for yourself and adapt as needed. It's okay. Number 3, fill your life with simple pleasures. So this can be simple things like really making your room or your space that you get to write into something that feels really good. Buying those writing gloves that you guys saw me put in that little writing caddy, that is just a simple pleasure. Having my fridge filled with flavored sparkling water is just a simple pleasure, but it's something easy I can do. And they were having a sale, so I stocked up my whole pantry. And it brings me so much joy, even though it's such a simple thing. Taking a bath, going outside and watching the Texas sunsets, which are just stunning, doesn't cost me anything. But man, does it just make me feel so good. So I try to hit that sunset. I try to see it every single night. And it's only 10 minutes, but it's a simple pleasure, a simple joy. So I'm going to share with you real quick. We're going to go back to those roses in the other room because this is an example of, setting my room up the way that I want, surrounding myself with color and beauty and placing something on my desk like a mug or some roses in an acrylic box. Like I can't even explain how much joy that brings to me. So you guys saw that I featured these roses earlier in the year, and I just want to show you again how beautiful they look even after all this time. Rose Forever New York sent this to me. They started in 2019 and they have these gorgeous, luxurious rose boxes. And the ones I showed you before are these beautiful vegan sort of velvet material, but they also have these gorgeous acrylic boxes. And these to me are just so stunning. These are natural roses that have been preserved with natural oils, and the bouquets are handcrafted and selected by professional flower artisans. And all of the materials that you see in all of the boxes is vegan, and everything that's preserved is done so with a natural process of pigmentation. They have gorgeous colors like violet and black and royal blue. So this is done through a natural process of pigmentation, and they keep that same rich, intensive shade, and they're allergen free. So go and check out all of the beautiful different colors and design options. It's just incredible. But this month in particular, we are almost to the end of October, but Rose Forever New York is joining Breast Cancer Awareness Month's global campaign dedicated to raising awareness about breast cancer and supporting women to reduce breast cancer risks. So because of this, they have lowered all their prices on their pink roses, and they're offering special discounts and free shipping. And for every pink bouquet sold, they will donate $2 to breast cancer research. So let's spread the word on it. Go treat yourself to something beautiful, or get these as a reward for yourself. I also have a special code that they sent me, which gives you even more off than I was able to give you last time. So if you use the code Sarah25, remember it's SARRA 25, you'll get $25 off your order. So thank you so much for Rose Forever. These are just beautiful, and it's just another way to indulge in a simple pleasure, something that makes you feel nice. On that same token, keeping your space clean can be super awesome when it comes to it. Now, I am somebody who's guilty. You guys have seen it over and over again. I'm sorry to say that when I'm on deadline, I tend to let my room get messy and my space get messy. Like my makeup will be all over the counter. I've got clothes on the floor. There's planners all over the floor, like just throwing papers everywhere. But I am trying this year in this new house to be more organized and keep things a little bit tidier, and it is helping. So indulging in the simple pleasures, keeping your space nice so that you feel grounded and you feel like every time you walk into a room, it brings you joy rather than making you feel like you're behind on everything. That is one of the keys to taking care of your mental health during a deadline. I'm also going to add number 4 here is to remember that you're not alone. So this goes for help. If you have trouble keeping your house tidy, or the dishes are getting over the sink, there are hopefully people in your house that can help you, or you can even like go out and order out food a little bit more often if you need to. Just like if you're hitting a point, like order food and go pick it up rather than cooking. But asking for help from your friends, from the people that live in your home, that can be super helpful. But also remembering that you're not alone in this community of writers. So we have, of course, the Hearties on this channel. We're going to be getting together literally every day in November with my vlogs to kind of talk about how things are going. But we also have the Heart Breathings writing community, which is over 5,000 authors now, that get together literally every day to write. Obviously not everybody on every stream, but we have a steady like 10 to 30 people almost every single sprinting session. So you can always go to the Heart Breathings writing community page over on my website, and you can get that Google Calendar that has a list of times and links of all the people that are going live. And it can be so helpful when you're starting to get into that darker place, or you're starting to feel like you're the only one struggling. It can be so helpful to reach out to that community and say, I'm really struggling today. I can't get my word count. I need a little bit of encouragement. And I guarantee you, people will lift you up, because this is such an amazing community. My Discord server is available to you as well. It is called Sarah Cannon's Coven because it was created for fans of my books, but we do have a thriving small community of NaNo participants and Heart Breathings Hearties. And so you're welcome to come join that writers channels and come hang out. And of course, always welcome to read my books as well and become a fan of those. There are so many resources, and whether you're doing NaNo or you're just alone on a deadline, there are people out there who have been through what you've been through. Like part of the reason I joined Amber McHugh's Modern CEO group and now her Accelerate group that I talked about earlier in this year is because I have that community. We're on Voxer together. We chat every day. If I have a down day, I have those people to reach out to. And I want you to know that those resources are available to you as well. All you have to do is just reach out and come join us. And I promise you, you will find people that will be nice to you, that will lift you up and will cheer you on. Number 5, lean into your self-care rituals, whatever that looks like to you. For me, it's often time outside. It's the time I get to read and relax. It's also my time, like every single night I sit in the bed for about 20 minutes and read my tarot card, and I journal, and I talk to my husband, and I sometimes will make popcorn and, have a glass of wine. That's sometimes like the self-care that I needed, was just like turning on some plan with me YouTube videos and just relaxing. Sometimes I need that moment. And like I was saying in the intro to this video, sometimes when we're on deadline, we kind of shy away from those times to ourselves because we've already been so selfish in taking all this time to write. But the truth is, we need to lean into those rituals even more than ever before. So sometimes it can just be a nice candle. It can be a bubble bath. It can be time with friends. It can be just taking the time to go out to a coffee shop, but just leaning into whatever are your personal self-care rituals, be it journaling or whatever it may be, and not abandoning them just because you're so busy. Now's the time to make sure that you almost like make an appointment for yourself to get those things done or to spend time on things that bring you joy. As kind of a sub point to that, part of what I would encourage you to do that's been helpful for me is checking in with myself. Like one of my self-care rituals every single morning is to pull out my 6 months for life journal, which is just a program that I am doing for myself. I created it, but it's not like an official program, but it's for the past several months, as I've been doing a 6-month sort of level up for myself, I sit down every single morning when I'm having my coffee and I check in with how I'm feeling and how I'm doing. Am I overwhelmed? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling like, what am I grateful for? And I check in. And that's really when I'm able to, instead of going through the motions, I sort of stop myself and say, hey, how's it really going? As if I were my own best friend. And that is sometimes the time when I say, you know what? I am completely losing it. I've been crying. I've been struggling. I have not been working on my story. I'm really disappointed in myself. Then I can kind of come around and say, okay, what do you need? And it's like a conversation between myself and my higher self. What do you need? What can I do for you? How can I support you today? And sometimes the answer is, you know what? I think I'm just going to take my story and I'm going to run to the coffee shop for a couple of hours. Or, you know what? This video is just going to be delayed and I'm going to spend time snuggled up with my daughter or playing with her ponies. And that's going to be it. Not real ponies, just like My Little Ponies. But maybe I'm going to sit down with my son and we're going to read a few chapters of something, or I'm going to help him with his homework and we're just going to cuddle on the couch. And maybe I wouldn't have normally taken time to do that or to lean into those extra self-care rituals or to say, let's do a date night because I didn't want to take the time or because I'm just going through the motions. But when you stop and you take some kind of awareness of where you are in your mental health right now. Like if you're kind of on the edge, but you're not admitting it to yourself because you're so stinking busy, then you could continue to push yourself and not take the break. And eventually you're just going to fall off the cliff, right? But if you're kind of on the edge and you check in with yourself and you have that awareness and you have that sort of ritual of checking in with yourself, you might say, okay, deep breaths. I need to meditate, go get my nails done, go for a walk, and now you bring yourself back to a baseline. And maybe you had a couple days where you didn't get any words in, but in my opinion, that is so much better to take the time you need to get yourself in a good mental place and not get words for a couple days than to try to push yourself and then you completely give up on Nano because you've fallen off the edge of anxiety. So preventative self-care is checking in with yourself every day and thinking of your own needs. My sixth and final tip to you is to really learn to be your own biggest cheerleader. I have talked about this before, that my husband sort of identified early on in our relationship that I kind of have two sides to myself, like two voices that are always talking in my head. And one of them is ass kicker sweetie. And she is the one who's like, yes, I'm going to get it. I can do this. You're so good, Sarah. You're doing such a great job. Like, people love your books. This is going great. Hoorah. Like, sit down and get it done. But then there's also evil sweetie on this side. And evil sweetie is that voice that's always putting meaning to my shortcomings. Like if I don't hit the 50,000, Sarah over here is going to be like, woo, you still did 25. Like you sat down, you developed a writing habit. This is really good. She sees that positive side of what I have accomplished and what I've made my way through. And if I didn't do my best, she's still there to say, you know what, get back up. You have learned something. You've learned more about yourself. Let's learn from it and let's move on to the next goal. Like let's set another goal. Let's get it going. Whereas evil sweetie is the one over here going, You can't even write 20,000 words in a month. How do you think you're ever going to be the best writer? Like, how do you think you're going to compare to these other people? Your whole career is running down the drain and you're just going to let it go. Like, you're the worst person. And I could just go on and on with that voice. And for some of you, that type of voice is very familiar. For me, it's like a trauma response, a trauma voice from my past. And it has taken me a long time to learn to say, oh, I recognize that voice. I am an observer of that voice. That is not a true voice. That is not who I really am. That's just a thought that I've been conditioned and trained to think, or that I heard so often I started to believe it, but it is not the truth. And so if you can learn to recognize that negative voice that comes into your head that tells you people are mad at you, people don't care about you, you're all alone, you're not doing a good enough job, you didn't try hard enough, you're never going to do it, you're never going to be good enough, you're too old, like any of those kind of negative thoughts that keep coming up for you, you're running out of time, all those things that make you feel anxiety, that voice is not true. I promise you, it is not telling you the truth. And all it's doing is telling you these things that it thinks will keep you safe. And if you can learn to recognize that voice and say, that's not true. If it says, you're too old to get started, you're running out of time, you can't even write 20,000 words in a month, what makes you think you're ever going to be a writer? Try to reframe it and turn it around and say, you know what? I'm really proud of myself for being 50 years old and finally going after my dreams. It took me long enough. I'm not going to waste another minute. I am so excited and I have made really good progress and I cannot wait to sit down and write. And instantly that shifts your energy from being a victim, being sorry for yourself, feeling hopeless to, hey, I actually am accomplishing really good things. So if you can kind of create for yourself your own booty kicker, persona that is always going to cheer you up and bring you back. I'm not talking about toxic positivity where it's like, you can do it, ignore your feelings. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about when we're alone with our thoughts and we fall short of a goal, or even when we're proud of ourselves, sometimes that voice will come up and it will tell us things that are trying to keep us small. And if you can learn to recognize that voice and counteract it with really cheering yourself on as if you were speaking to your best friend, oh my gosh, but look how far you've come. You're doing such a great job. And I think that can make such a difference in your mental health for the month. And if you combine all those things and you really start keeping up with your space, you surround yourself with simple joys, and you check in on your mental health, you create that white space and you don't push yourself to the limit. And then you're also like championing yourself, like, hey, I actually wrote 1,000 words today, instead of I only wrote 1,000 words today, or I'm a failure, and making these shortcomings mean something about who you are. And instead saying, I tried, I'm doing my best job, I'm showing up every day, and I'm really proud of that. Being proud of yourself when you rest, being proud of yourself when you have a reward that you earned, and not comparing yourself to other people, but really sitting and thinking about your own success and defining that for yourself. Wow, that's going to be so powerful. And these are things I'm still reminding myself of too. I have not learned to do it perfectly, but I have come so far since this time last year. I have learned so much about myself, and I can feel my energy completely shifting. And I want to stay on that path, and I want that path for you too. So let's be our own big cheerleaders, and let's have an amazing month ahead for NaNoWriMo. Remember that we do have our live Q&A coming up at 3 p.m. on Sunday with some special guests. So that's going to be awesome. I also will be putting up a little questionnaire, like a question box over on my Instagram at Heartbreathings for if you want to submit questions in advance, and then we will be taking some questions live. It's going to be super fun. It'll run for about an hour. I also wanted to just briefly let you know that until tomorrow, I do have an order form open because I've been celebrating my 12-year anniversary as an indie author, because my book birthday for my first book is coming up on Saturday. So I offered all of my backlist paperbacks signed. So if you are also a fan of my books, or you've always wanted to try them out and you would like a signed copy of one of my books, I will pop that order form in the description for you below. I'm going to be signing like 500 plus books in November, so I will share that virtual signing experience with you guys during Nano. It's going to be super fun. But I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Go pick out some roses for yourself, or do something really nice for yourself. But if I have to leave you with one thought, it is just that you are good and worthy. despite the goals that you reach for and the things that you do, just in your heart, you are inherently worthy and talented, and you have a voice that deserves to be heard. And the rest of it is just timing. As long as you don't give up, those goals can still be yours. 30 days, schmurdy days. Like, it's okay if you don't hit it in 30 days, or if you miss the pre-order, or if you fall short of the timing of your goals. Maybe there was a reason why that timing needed to be shifted. So learn to trust yourself, learn to trust the timing of your life, and cheer yourself on, because you deserve it. And you don't have to hit 50,000 words in a month, or hit a certain sales number, or reach a project deadline, or make $100,000 a year to be good. And so often our society kind of tells us that that's the way it is, but none of that is true. You get to define success for yourself. And the more you can learn to do that and really lean into it, I think the happier you will be. That has certainly been the truth for me, and I hope it is the truth for you. So here's to wonderful mental health for all of us. Here's to community, and here's to an amazing NaNoWriMo. Thank you for being a part of my channel. If you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and comment down below. And I will see you guys next week for the beginning of 30 days of vlogs. It's always an adventure. So I will see you for the NaNoWriMo Diaries next week, and I'll see you on Sunday for our live Q&A. Bye.